Have you ever learned an English sentence, practiced it many times, and then completely forgotten what to say when the situation changed? Maybe you know, I want coffee, but then someone asks you, what do you want to eat? And suddenly you have to build a new sentence from zero. What if you could stop memorizing thousands of separate sentences and instead learn one simple formula that helps you create sentence after sentence? Today, that's exactly what we're going to practice. By the end of this lesson, you'll see how one basic pattern can help you build hundreds, and eventually more than 1,000, useful English sentences.
That sounds great because I think that's one of my biggest problems. I can understand a lot of English, but when I try to speak, I sometimes know the words but don't know how to put them together.
Yep, and that's completely normal. Knowing individual words isn't the same as knowing how to build sentences. The good news is that English sentences often follow simple patterns. So instead of trying to memorize every sentence you hear, you can learn a pattern and change a few words. Think of it like a sentence machine. You put different words into the same structure, and you get a new sentence.
So what's the formula?
Let's start with one of the most useful formulas in everyday English: subject plus verb plus object. In simple terms, someone does something to something or someone. For example, I drink coffee. I is the subject, drink is the verb, and coffee is the object.
Okay, that sounds really simple.
It is, and that's the point. We don't want a complicated formula. We want a pattern you can use again and again. Listen to this: I eat breakfast. I watch movies. I read books. I play soccer. I need help. I want coffee. The words change, but the basic structure stays familiar.
So if I know the pattern, I don't have to memorize 6 completely different sentences.
Exactly, you're learning one structure and creating 6 sentences from it, and now we can make even more sentences by changing the subject. Listen, I drink coffee. You drink coffee. We drink coffee. They drink coffee. He drinks coffee. She drinks coffee. Look at what's happening. The main idea stays the same, but the subject changes.
Wait, you said he drinks but I drink. Why did the verb change?
Great question. In the simple present with he, she, or it, we usually add s or es to the verb, so we say I work but she works. They live here but he lives here. I watch TV but she watches TV. Don't worry about memorizing a complicated grammar explanation right now. Just notice the pattern.
So I can take one sentence and change the subject.
Right, let's do it together. Start with I like coffee. Now change the subject to she.
She likes coffee.
Exactly, now they.
They like coffee.
Good, now he.
He likes coffee.
Nice, and that's already several sentences from one simple pattern, but we're just getting started. The real power comes when we change the object. I like coffee. I like tea. I like pizza. I like music. I like movies. I like English. Same formula, different vocabulary.
So if I know 10 subjects, 10 verbs, and 10 objects, I can create a lot of combinations.
Exactly, that's the idea. You don't need to memorize every possible sentence. You need enough useful building blocks and the ability to combine them naturally. Let's make this practical. Imagine you're talking to a friend after work. You could say, I need a break. I need some water. I need a coffee. I need some help. I need more time. The structure is easy. I need plus something.
And I could change it to I want.
Absolutely, I want a break. I want some water. I want a coffee. I want more time. I want a new phone. Now change the subject. She wants a break. He wants some water. They want more time. See how quickly the number of sentences grows.
Yeah, I can see how this could become hundreds of sentences.
And there's another powerful step. Add a place or a time. For example, I drink coffee becomes I drink coffee in the morning. I drink coffee at work. I drink coffee after breakfast. I drink coffee with my friends. Now we haven't changed the basic sentence. We've simply added information.
So the formula can grow.
Exactly, start simple, then add information. Here's a useful way to think about it. Who does what, where, when. For example, I study English at home every night. Who, I does what, study, what, English, where, at home, when, every night.
That's much easier than thinking about grammar rules first.
Right, when you're speaking, you don't want to stop every 2 seconds and think, which grammar rule am I using? You want a familiar structure that comes naturally. That's why sentence patterns are so useful.
Can we try a real conversation with this?
For sure, imagine we're planning our weekend. I'll start. I want to visit a new restaurant on Saturday.
I want to watch a movie on Saturday.
Nice, I want to visit a new restaurant on Saturday. Now change Saturday to Sunday.
I want to visit a new restaurant on Sunday.
Good, change a new restaurant to the park.
I want to visit the park on Sunday.
Perfect, now change I to we.
We want to visit the park on Sunday.
Exactly. You just created several new sentences without learning several new grammar structures.
Okay, but what about negative sentences?
Great, we can use the same idea. In the simple present, we often use don't or doesn't. For example, I don't like coffee. I don't watch TV. We don't eat meat. They don't work here. With he or she, we usually use doesn't. He doesn't like coffee. She doesn't watch TV. Notice something important. After doesn't, the main verb goes back to its basic form. We say, she doesn't like coffee, not she doesn't likes coffee.
Oh, that's a mistake I sometimes make.
And it's a very common one. Here's the simple way to remember it. The S moves. She likes coffee, but she doesn't like coffee. The word doesn't already carries that grammar information, so we don't add another S to like.
That's a really useful trick.
Now let's make questions. Again, we're not starting from zero. We can use the same building blocks. Do you like coffee? Do you watch movies? Do they live here? With he or she, we usually say, does he work here? Does she speak English? And remember the same idea. After does, use the basic verb. Does she speak English? Not does she speaks English.
So now one pattern can give me positive sentences, negative sentences, and questions.
Exactly, that's where things get really powerful. Let's take one basic idea. You work here. From that we can make, you don't work here. Do you work here? Where do you work? Why do you work here? Do you work here every day? We're expanding the same basic structure.
And I guess we can do this with almost any verb.
Pretty much, let's practice with study. I study English. Now change the object.
I study Spanish.
Good, I study English at home.
I study English at school.
Nice, I study English every day.
I study English every morning.
Excellent, now make it negative.
I don't study English every day.
Good, now make a question.
Do you study English every day?
Perfect, now you can see the formula isn't one sentence. It's a framework for creating sentences.
Can we make the sentences sound more natural too?
Absolutely, this is important because fluent English isn't only about making grammatically correct sentences. It's also about using natural combinations. For example, I take a shower. We don't usually say, I make a shower. I make breakfast, but we say, I take a shower. I make coffee. I take a break. I make a decision. These combinations are worth learning as chunks.
So the formula helps me build sentences, but I should also learn common word combinations.
Exactly, think of it this way. The formula gives you the skeleton and useful vocabulary gives you the body. You need both. Let's use take. I take a shower. I take a break. I take the bus. I take a picture. I take my dog for a walk. Now change the subject. She takes a shower. He takes the bus. They take pictures. You're building again.
This is starting to feel much easier.
Good, because that's the goal. Now let's do a listening challenge. Don't try to translate every word. Just listen for the sentence pattern. I get up early, I make breakfast, I check my phone, and I go to work. I usually take the bus, but sometimes I drive. I listen to music on the way to work, and I answer a few messages when I arrive.
I heard a lot of I plus a verb.
Exactly, I get up, I make breakfast, I check my phone, I go to work, I take the bus, I listen to music, I answer messages. That's everyday English built from simple patterns.
So maybe fluent speakers aren't creating completely new sentences every time. They're using familiar patterns and changing the information.
That's a great way to think about it. When you become more comfortable with English, you don't consciously build every sentence word by word. You recognize patterns and use them automatically. That's one reason repetition matters so much.
Okay, let's do the speaking practice.
Let's go, and this time, pause mentally and create your own sentence before I give you an example. First pattern, I want. Think of something you want. Maybe I want a new phone, or I want some coffee. Your turn. Now another one. I need, maybe I need some help, or I need more time. Your turn. Next, I like. Choose a food, activity, person, place, or thing. I like pizza. I like music. I like learning English. Your turn.
I'm noticing that I don't need hundreds of examples before I can start speaking. I can make my own examples.
Exactly, that's the big difference. Memorizing can help, but creating is what gives you flexibility. Let's try another challenge. Complete this sentence. I usually in the morning. You could say, I usually exercise in the morning. I usually drink coffee in the morning. I usually read in the morning. There isn't only one correct answer.
Nice, so the formula gives me freedom instead of giving me one answer.
Exactly, now let's add a second pattern. I'm going to. This is another incredibly useful structure. I'm going to work. I'm going to call my friend. I'm going to cook dinner. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to study tonight. You can immediately create dozens of sentences.
And I can change the subject too. We're going to watch a movie.
Right, she's going to call her mom. They're going to travel next month. He's going to buy a new car. And now add a time or place. I'm going to study at home tonight. We're going to eat at a restaurant tomorrow. Again, you're expanding a simple structure.
What about the past?
Same principle, take a simple pattern. I watched a movie. I visited my friend. I cooked dinner. I studied English. I cleaned my apartment. Now add information. I watched a movie last night. I visited my friend after work. I cooked dinner for my family. I studied English for an hour. You're still using the same basic idea. Who, action, information.
So maybe the real formula isn't just 3 words.
Exactly. The deeper formula is built from the core and keep adding useful information. Start with I work. Then I work at a hospital. Then I work at a hospital in New York. Then I work at a hospital in New York, but I live in New Jersey. You don't need to memorize the final sentence. You can build it piece by piece.
That feels much more practical for real conversations.
It is, and here's another important point. Don't try to make every sentence long. Fluent English can be very simple. I'm tired. I'm hungry. Let's go. Give me a second. I'm not sure. Sounds good. I'll call you later. These short sentences are extremely useful.
That's true. Sometimes I think fluent English means using long and complicated sentences.
Nope. Fluency means communicating comfortably and naturally. Simple English spoken confidently is much more useful than complicated English that you can't use quickly.
So if I practice one formula every day, I can slowly make hundreds of sentences.
Absolutely. Here's a simple practice routine. Choose one useful sentence pattern each day, then choose 5 subjects, 5 verbs, and 5 pieces of information. Build sentences, say them out loud. Change them into negative sentences. Turn them into questions. Then use them in a short conversation. You don't need hours. A few focused minutes every day can make a big difference.
Can we do one final challenge?
For sure, I'll give you the beginning and you finish it. I usually.
I usually wake up early.
Good, I need.
I need some coffee.
Nice, I'm going to.
I'm going to study English tonight.
Great, I don't.
I don't watch TV in the morning.
Excellent, do you?
Do you speak English every day?
Perfect, and notice what you just did. You didn't memorize my sentences. You created your own.
That's probably the biggest lesson here.
Exactly. If you remember only one thing from today's lesson, remember this. Don't memorize thousands of sentences one by one. Learn useful patterns and practice changing the words. Start with a simple core. Add a person, action, object, place, or time. Then make it positive, negative, or a question. Keep changing the information and keep speaking.
So one formula can become hundreds of sentences, and with enough vocabulary and practice, more than 1,000.
That's right. You don't need perfect English before you start speaking. You need a few useful patterns, useful words, and regular practice. Every sentence you create makes the next sentence a little easier. So don't worry if you make mistakes. That's part of the process. Keep building, keep speaking, and you got this.
I like that. Don't memorize everything, build it.
Exactly. Build it, say it, change it, and use it in real life. Now let's quickly recap. First, start with a simple sentence pattern. Second, change the subject, verb, or object to create new sentences. Third, add useful information like place and time. Fourth, practice positive sentences, negative sentences, and questions. And finally, say your sentences out loud and use them in real conversations. That's how a simple formula can help you create hundreds, and eventually thousands of English sentences.
And the more I practice, the faster those patterns become automatic.
Exactly. If this lesson helped you, subscribe to Fluent English for more easy English conversations and practical speaking lessons. Like the video if you found it useful, and tell us in the comments what English topic you'd like to practice next. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and we'll see you in the next lesson.